Welcome, kindred spirits, to a place of positivity, passion, and purpose. Hello, YouTube friends. Join us as we unravel the mysteries surrounding Gregor Werner. Gregor Joseph Werner, 28 January 1693 – 3 March 1766, was an Austrian composer of the Baroque period, best known as the predecessor of Joseph Haydn as the Kapellmeister of the Hungarian Esterházy family. Few of Werner's works survive to the present day, and he is mostly remembered for his troubled relationship with Haydn. Let's zoom in on career and understand its implications. Werner was born in Eidzen der Donau. He served from 1715 to either 1716 or 1721 and known as the organist at Melk Abbey. During the years he was in Vienna, where he may have studied with Johann Fuchs. Werner was married on 27 January 1727. On 10 May 1728 he took up the position he was to hold for the rest of his life, as Kapellmeister at the Esterházy court in Schloss Esterházy in Eisenstadt. The appointment opened a new era for music at the court. Previously, there had been 7 years of relative inactivity following the death of Prince Joseph in 1721. His widow Maria Octavia, serving as co-regent for her young son Paul Anton, had instituted economies in the musical establishment. Robbins, Landon and Jones suggest that Werner was hired at the then 17-year-old prince's instigation. Werner set to work, bringing new music to the court from Vienna and composing prolifically. He remained in full charge of the Esterházy musical establishment until 1761, when he entered a period of semi-retirement, his responsibilities limited to church music. Throughout this time he worked for a prince who was himself highly musical. Paul Anton had received musical training from the court musicians as well as from music masters imported from abroad. He played the violin and the flute. Werner died in Eisenstadt on 3 March 1766. In this section, we'll be exploring works. Werner wrote a cappella masses in a strict contrapuntal style, as well as church music with instrumental accompaniment and symphonies. His work includes a series of 20 oratorios, all composed for performance on Good Friday, usually in the Esterházy chapel. Jones discerns a bifurcated style, with most of the work taking the form of severe, weighty contrapuntal pieces, but a minority written for lighter occasions such as Advent and the Nativity that employ a distinctly homespun idiom, invoking elements of Austrian and indeed Eastern European folk music. Works by Joseph Haydn in both genres exist, and may have been influenced by Werner. As an employee of the Esterházy family, Werner published little, but a few works did see print. These include his set of 12 orchestral suites depicting the 12 months of the year, Neue und sehr curiös musikalische instrumental calendar, new and very curious musical instrument calendar, which appeared in Augsburg in 1748. His pupils included South T. Kobel and the Esterházy organist Johann Novotny, father of Franz Nikolaus Novotny. Autograph scores and parts by Gregor Joseph Werner have found their way into the collection of the Ösztös Budapest, as well as the public archives in Győr, Hungary. Let's zoom in on relations with Haydn and understand its implications. Werner's period of semi-retirement began in 1761 when the Esterházy family hired the 29-year-old composer Joseph Haydn as their vice-Kapellmeister. The contract by which Haydn was hired shows the family's loyalty to their elderly musical servant by retaining him, at least on a titular basis, in the top post of Kapellmeister. However, after this time Werner's musical duties were limited to church music, and Haydn, 39 years younger than Werner, had the primary duties, with full control over the secular musical events of the household, including the orchestra. This was a time of changes probably unwelcome to Werner. His longtime patron Paul Anton died in March 1762, succeeded by his younger brother Nikolaus Esterházy. Nikolaus was also a very musical prince, but his interests Jones lay with Haydn and the development of instrumental music. Haydn initially received the same salary, 400 florins per year, that Werner had long received, but in June 1762 this was increased to 600. In addition, Werner had lived to see the kind of music he composed become outmoded. His own work emphasized the contrapuntal textures of the Baroque era, whereas by 1761 the new forms of the classical period, often with a single melody set over an accompaniment figure, had come to the fore. Jones says he had become too old to appreciate the rapidly developing fashion for symphonies, quartets, and keyboard sonatas, genres in which Haydn was already acquiring a name for himself. Werner expressed his distaste by calling Haydn a Gesangmacher, writer of little songs, and Mohansel fashion follower, literally little Hans of fashion. Werner's discontent reached its climax in October 1765, a few months before his death, when he wrote a letter to Prince Esterházy denouncing Haydn for his slackness in running the Esterházy musical establishment. The letter begins, "While it is natural to detect bitterness and envy in Werner's letter, Jones points out that the criticisms might well have been legitimate, and that the letter produced a useful bureaucratic response. Haydn was spread thin between serving the prince's interests in secular music, mostly in his palace in Vienna, and in covering for the now frail Werner the church music at the family seat in Eisenstadt. Prince Nicholas arranged for his administrator Reyer to deal with the situation. Reyer, with whom Haydn had a difficult relationship, issued an official document, which reprimanded Haydn. However, it also provided a helpful clarification of Haydn's responsibilities and designated a subordinate, Joseph Dietzel, to take on the task of keeping track of the music and instruments in Eisenstadt. The reprimand also led Haydn to begin to keep a draft catalogue of all his works, the Entwurf Catalogue. In response to a particular detail of the reprimand, Haydn began writing a great number of works in the prince's favourite genre at the time, the baritone trio. Let's now zoom in on reception and uncover the hidden gems that lie within. Werner today is an almost forgotten composer. The Penguin Guide to Recorded Classical Music 2009 reviews no recording of any works by him. Few recordings are commercially available. The reference sources listed below tend to emphasize Werner's troubled relationship with Haydn over his own career. The choreographer Twyla Tharp used a prelude and fugue by Werner for her 1976 dance Give and Take. Haydn himself clearly held Werner in high esteem, whatever their personal difficulties may have been. In his own old age, 1804, Haydn published 6 introductions and fugues for string quartet taken from Werner's oratorios. The title page read that the works were edited by his successor J. Haydn out of particular esteem towards the famous master. In this part of the video, we'll be delving deeper into selected recordings and analyzing its key components. Oratorio Deborah Banditelli, Dear. Pal Nemeth. Quintana 1994. Gregor Werner, Pro Adventuars Antiqua Austria, Dear. Challenge Klasicska, 2012. Includes his 6 fugues in quartets as arranged by Haydn, and selected vocal works for Advent. Die Geschichten neuer unser Curios Musikalischer Instrumental Kalender Concilium Musicum Wien, Dear. Paul Angra. Christophorus Records CHE 164-2, 2011. I hope you learned something new today. Let me know what you found most interesting in the comments below.